Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Allie and I make new true crime videos every week. And I just want to give a little warning. Somebody commented in my video last week and I still haven't fixed it. If you hear the chirping from my fire alarm smoke detector, I'm sorry. I will change it this week. I know that it's dangerous. This is a PSA for all of you out there. You need to check your smoke alarms too. But I will fix it, but I couldn't reach it. So you might hear some chirping today. But anyways, let's jump into today's case. Today we're going to be talking about the McStay family. The McStays were a family of 4 who went missing from their home on February 4th, 2010. Their case was covered on national news stories and it was even featured on popular programs like Nancy Grace, Unsolved Mysteries, and America's Most Wanted. So like I said, the McStays were a family of 4. Joseph, his wife Summer, and their 2 sons, Gianni, who was 4, and Joseph Jr., who was 3. Joseph owned and operated Earth Inspired Products, a company that made decorative fountains. He was doing extremely well for himself and he was super successful. He was even branching out into other countries, and he built his business with his friend Dan Kavanaugh and his contractor and welder Chase Merritt. Both of these men were spoken very highly of by the McStays. They considered them their friends, and initially neither one of them was considered a person of interest in this case. So let's get into the details of the case. On February 4th, 2010, neighbors' surveillance footage captured the bottom of a vehicle leaving the McStays' home. At 7:47 p.m., it was thought to be the McStays' 1996 Isuzu Trooper. In the video, the vehicle's occupants were not able to be seen. However, it was assumed that it was the McStay family that left in the car. Also on February 4th, Chase Merritt did make a phone call to Joseph McStay's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. And he told authorities that he didn't think much of it because he was watching a TV program and he just didn't think about it. It went to voicemail and he didn't think anything of it. Over the next few days, family members noticed that their phone calls were going unanswered. They weren't thinking that this was too big of a deal, but Joseph's brother Mike decided to stop by to check in. He found the family dogs outside and the family gone. And at this point, he started to get concerned, but he wasn't overly concerned. He thought that maybe the family had just gone on a vacation and forgot to tell family. So he was a little bit worried, but he wasn't panicking. So he decided to leave a note to contact him, and he moved the dog bowls to see if they would be moved by the dog's sitter, and then he decided to stop back by the next day. The next day, Mike was contacted by animal control, and they said that they had been visiting daily to care for the dogs. And this was the point when he started to get really worried. And he wasn't thinking that anything nefarious had happened. He just thought that maybe there had been an accident. Maybe they went on vacation and there was an accident and they were lost or they were hurt, and hopefully they weren't dead, but he didn't think that there was any foul play. He thought that it was an accident. So after multiple days of no contact, Joseph's mother decided to call authorities. When authorities searched the home, they discovered popcorn on the couch, eggs on the counter downstairs, and upstairs they noticed a lamp lying on the floor and suitcases with clothing inside of the master closet. There were clothes on the floor too. Authorities decided that there were no signs of a struggle. However, they did file a missing persons report. And I want to note here that they did not treat the home as a crime scene. They allowed family members in and out of the home, and it was not sealed off at all. On February 8th, 2010, about 4 days later, the family's car was towed from a parking lot, and authorities concluded that the car may have been parked there between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. on February 4th. Nobody had any idea at this point where the McStays were. So at this point, the case kind of went stagnant. Police didn't think that anything bad had happened to the McStays. They were just assuming that they maybe went on a long vacation. Family was very worried, but police weren't really doing anything about it. But then on March 8th, 2010, they came out with a statement. Police said that they had found footage of a family matching the McStays' description walking hand in hand through the pedestrian gate. And authorities said that this video was dated 7 p.m. on February 8th. Based off of this footage, authorities announced that the family went voluntarily across the border. However, family members said that the man in the video looked way too tall to be Joseph. So the family was not convinced that this was actually the McStay family. But authorities kind of came back to the family and they said, well, we found evidence that somebody was searching on the McStay's computer about passports for children and traveling to Mexico. So police were absolutely convinced that this family on the video was the McStay family, and they were just shutting down all of the family members that were concerned. And I want to add, they were shutting the family down about something bad happening to the family. They acknowledged that the family was gone. They just thought that they voluntarily went over the border, not that they had been forced or that that wasn't the family. So authorities distributed flyers and asked Mexican authorities to search the airports, the bus stations, and other major travel hubs. And from these flyers and from the searches, there were a few sightings of the family. However, police were never able to confirm that that was actually them. So again, this case kind of goes cold. Authorities think that the family voluntarily went to Mexico. The family of the McStays don't believe that at all. So it just kind of goes stagnant again for 3 years this time. On November 11th, 2013, a motorcyclist found human remains in the Mojave Desert. Forensic investigators worked through the night and the day and found 2 different grave sites and multiple human remains. Authorities concluded the remains of 4 different people. And at this point, they were starting to wonder if it was the McStay family. So on November 15th, 2013, the bodies were identified as the McStays, and the autopsy concluded that they died of blunt force trauma. Joseph's body was also found with a white extension cord wrapped around his neck. Investigators also released that a sledgehammer had been found buried at the site. So let's fast forward 1 year. So 1 year later, investigators arrested Charles Chase Merritt. And I don't know if you remember him, but we said before that that was Joe's contractor and welder and a close family friend. Merritt was questioned 2 days after the missing persons report was filed. Investigators noticed that he referred to the McStays in the past tense, and he also admitted that he was the last person to see Joe and the last person to make a phone call to the family. So he said that he had had a meeting with Joe earlier in the day. Again, admitting that he was the last person to see Joe. So he was ultimately charged with 4 counts of murder. And prosecutors alleged that Merritt was in debt and had a gambling problem, and that he had killed the McStays for financial gain. Joseph had almost $100,000 in his bank account when he was killed. And Merritt owed Joseph $30,000 from a loan for gambling debt. And when questioned, Dan Kavanaugh, Joe's friend and business partner, said that Joseph was planning on firing Merritt before he disappeared. So a lot of people wonder if that meeting that Joseph and Chase had had earlier in the day was actually Joseph firing Chase. Merritt's cell phone was traced to the desert graves, and his DNA was found in the McStay car, on the steering wheel, and on the gear shift. And I just want to add this in here that he had previous felony charges. On January 6, 2019, a trial began. The defense was that the McStay family died because of someone else's greed. However, they pointed towards Dan Kavanaugh. They said that investigators only looked at Merritt and they just zeroed in on him and never looked at anybody else, and that it was actually Dan that committed the murders. However, Dan had an airtight alibi. He was in Hawaii at the time of the murders. On June 10th, 2019, a San Bernardino County jury found Merritt guilty of murdering the McStay family and recommended he be sentenced to death. On January 21st, 2020, Merritt was sentenced to death after a 2-day sentencing hearing. Merritt is currently staying at the San Quentin State Prison until an execution date is scheduled. So this case went on for a very long time. It took 4 years for anybody to even be charged with the murder. It took, gosh, 3 years to even find the family and find their bodies. And then it took almost 10 years. No, it did take 10 years. It took 10 years for justice to be served. And he's still awaiting execution. He has not been executed as of this video. So that's a really, really long time. But it also goes to show that cold cases can be solved. And so it's really important that we keep those cases out in the public. Even if you think it's cold and there's no way that it will ever be solved, this case shows that it can be solved. So I just wanted to do a little solved case this week. I do a lot of unsolved cases, and I don't know, I just wanted to cover this one just to kind of show everybody that it's important to study these cases. It's important to keep them front and center. And so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up so that I know. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me out so much and you won't miss any of my new videos. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.